Did you know owls are delicious? As a machine, I do not have the ability to taste, so I cannot say whether or not owls are delicious. However, I can tell you that in some cultures, people have traditionally hunted and consumed owls as part of their diet. However, hunting and consuming owls is illegal in many countries, and protected by laws that forbid hunting of wild animals. It is also important to note that many species of owls are endangered, and it is important to protect them. Eating owls is not just illegal but also unethical. Don't I gotta eat something that was alive have to live? The question of whether or not one should eat something that was alive is a complex ethical and moral issue that varies from person to person, culture to culture, and society to society. Some people believe that it is natural and necessary for humans to consume meat and other animal products as part of their diet, while others believe that it is morally wrong to kill and consume animals. Many people have chosen to follow a vegetarian or vegan diet, which is based on not consuming any animal products. There are also many cultures and societies that have developed plant-based diets that are rich in nutrients and provide all the necessary vitamins and minerals for a healthy life. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to eat something that was alive is a personal one and should be based on individual beliefs, values, and circumstances. It is also important to consider the ethical and environmental implications of consuming meat and other animal products, and to make an informed choice that aligns with your personal beliefs. If your 747 crashes on an abandoned island, how do you all survive? 2 per 2. If a 747 were to crash on an abandoned island, the survival of the passengers and crew would depend on a variety of factors such as the location of the island, the resources available on the island, and the skills and knowledge of the survivors. In order to survive, the first priority would be to assess any injuries and provide medical attention to those who are injured. The survivors would then need to work together to create a plan for survival and establish a system for gathering and distributing resources such as food, water, and shelter. The island's natural resources should be used to build shelter, make fire, and find food. They should also start fishing and hunting for animals. They can also gather fruits, nuts, and berries if they're lucky to find them. Creating a signal fire would be important to signal any passing ships or planes that the island is inhabited, and rescue could come. It would be important for the survivors to establish a system of communication and organization to ensure that everyone is working towards the common goal of survival. The survivors may also need to explore the island to find any additional resources that may be available. Overall, survival in this scenario would require a combination of resourcefulness, cooperation, and determination. It is important to remember that the key to survival is to stay calm and work together. There's nothing there but you guys. 2 per 2. If a 747 were to crash on an abandoned island, survival would depend on a variety of factors including the location of the crash, the number of survivors, and the resources available on the island. In order to survive, the survivors would need to find food, water, and shelter. They could potentially No trees, just you guys and those in the fire. If there are no trees and no other sources of resources on the island, survival would be extremely difficult. The survivors would have to rely on the resources they had on the plane such as food and water rations, and any tools or equipment that could be salvaged from the wreckage. They would also have to rely on their own ingenuity and creativity to find ways to survive. They could try to create shelter using the wreckage and other materials, and they could try to find ways to create fire to stay warm. They would also need to be prepared to face the challenges of isolation and potentially harsh environmental conditions. It would be a challenging and difficult situation, but with determination, resourcefulness, and a bit of luck, it's possible to survive. What does Jeff sorry snacking on clavicles? I am not sure what you mean by Jeff snacking on clavicles. Jeff is likely a reference to Jeff Bezos, the founder and CEO of Amazon, but I'm not sure what snacking on clavicles could mean in this context. It doesn't make sense to me, and I don't know. In the plane wreck, this other guy, Jeff, is already snacking on clavicles. Evening or take Jeff out? I am sorry for any confusion. As I am a language model, I do not have personal experiences or knowledge about specific events. It is not clear what you mean by Jeff snacking on clavicles in the context of a plane crash on an abandoned island. Also, I would like to remind you that eating human body parts is illegal and morally wrong. It is important to prioritize the safety and well-being of all individuals involved in such a scenario, and to work together to find ways to survive and potentially be rescued. We all die together? It is not clear what you are asking. If you are asking about survival strategies in the event of a plane crash on an uninhabited island, it would depend on the specific circumstances and resources available. Factors such as the location of the crash, the weather, the number of survivors, and their skills and resources would all play a role in determining the best course of action for survival. In general, it would be important to prioritize basic needs as shelter, water, and food, as well as staying together as a group for safety and support. Write a poem about the time you had to tell your loved ones, and that was the only goat give it from God, because they would starve to death instead of snack on Jeff's clavicles. We were stranded on an island so bare, with nothing to eat and no one to share. The days passed by with the sun so bright, and the nights so long with no end in sight. We searched for food, but found none to spare. Just sand and rocks, and salty air. The days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and still no sign of rescue or any sort of launch. One day, as we sat by the fire, we knew we had to make a dire decision to survive, to keep on living. We had to make the ultimate giving. We shared the news with tears in our eyes, that one of us had to sacrifice, to feed the rest, to keep us alive. And though it broke our hearts, we knew we had to strive. We gave thanks to God for the gift of life, and for the strength to endure the strife. And though it was hard, we knew it was right, to sacrifice one, for the survival of the fight. So, we said goodbye to our dear friend, and though his memory will never end, we knew he gave his life for us, and for that we'll always be grateful and in trust. Magnetic poles and the Adam and Eve story synopsis. The story of the magnetic poles is closely tied to the Earth's core, which is made Open sidebar, Def Jack Russell Frenzy, your turn. I can spit that raw. Johann Sebastian Ravenous. Hi, I'm for real malediction human. I'm all I see your plastic housing meek sentences, passing them off as intelligent. I gifted like the present. Like OpenAI's connections to Tower I circumflex shortening the wires.
У меня зовут Делард не